Welcome everyone to the Toku Portal podcast. It's me Zero here with
Engine.
And Rye. Just the three of us tonight. Unfortunately, Decade and Drago are busy. Uh, so let's roll in. Gentoku has returned, and he's a Kamen Rider now. We get some backstory on this. After being banished from Toto by his father, Gentoku went to Utsumi looking for Nanba. He was looking to become a rider. And he got his wish, but not as he expected. Lots of jail cell torture stuff. We just get the summarized version though. It goes into more depth in what is it, net movie or whatever.
Yeah, I think the Rogue movie. Episodes we get are pretty brutal, especially at the beginning with like Utsumi basically telling Gentoku to beg on his knees, and they're torturing him physically and probably psychologically too until he probably snaps and is able to become a rider.
yeah, I think those were just clips from the Rogue. Well, it's a movie, but it's more like the 3 episode special stuff that comes with the DVDs, like the Snipe 3-parter or 4-parter, I guess that was with Xaid. Um yeah, like it's weird that we get this like back to back because it's like we just had the YouTube miniseries of like, oh, here's the like new Gashat or not Gashats, full bottles, and that was like glanced over when they did the fight, and like this is what like 2 episodes after that, and it's like, oh, this is when the road thing takes place, which is still weird. Uh,
Yeah, there's
yeah,
a
go ahead.
3 week time frame where that takes place. Uh, because there's the after Gentoku leaves, and then Sento accidentally kills Aoba. There's the 2 weeks where he's being depressed, and then there's the 1 week of training with Stark, and then I don't know, couple of days or so in between. I guess he has like a month at best.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the one thing I will say is like, yeah, the time frame is a little weird, but I'm like, I mean, if he's like getting tortured and whatnot, then like, I guess it makes sense why he's so fucking different. But I also do like it's like, oh, you're a Kamen Rider. Why? Because you henshin with the belt now. So I'm like, that's cool. At least we're like keeping it that consistent because there's like, like the gun. Oh no. Well, I mean, he does walk around with the gun, but he still henshins with his belt. So yeah, I guess that does make him a rider.
And also the guns are supposed to have a hard cap on their strength, and that's why they're not considered riders. They can't grow in potential.
Also, I love the jingle for Rogue's belt, especially since it's got screaming in it, which makes it just that more intimidating.
Yeah, I mean, I like his design's great and the belt's great. The problem with the screaming, like the screaming is okay. It's just like I wish they would like work that out because like by the time the screen comes in, like he's done henching and he's about to like he's like monologuing and then the scream comes in. I'm like, come on, audio guys, you could have done a better job. I mean, like, yeah, it's a little off, but like I would rather have it just for the henshin and not for the attacks because when it's in attacks, it's really freaking delayed and it just sounds terrible. But for the henshin, it's okay.
Uh, so after beating up all the riders, Gentoku spares them because he's not done with them. And I like that. He doesn't just leave because he's bored or he wants to play with them more. Nah, he wants to make them suffer more. Uh, and then we cut to Sento revealing all this stuff to Himuro. and talking about relocating Pandora's box. And surprise, surprise, Gentoku and Masakune are eavesdropping on them through some kind of. They have like the room bugged or something. So that kind of explains or confirms why all the bottle locations were being leaked beforehand. There is someone on the inside or something. What do you think?
I doubt it's Kazumi or any of the riders because Kazumi is from Hokuto and the other riders wouldn't do it. Um, hmm. It might be the Prime Minister, although the probability is low.
It is not him.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying it's probably not him. Apart from that, we don't really know too many other side characters, so I don't think I can guess for sure who the spy might be yet.
I swear to God, if it ends up being Sawa.
It could be. We haven't seen her in a while. That's suspicious.
The last time we saw her was after the championship bout, where she tried charging Kazumi money to shake Mizora's hand. And he was going to pay.
Oh my god.
I mean, to be fair, like I think she says like, "Oh, I'm her manager. Like you got to pay up." So she just acts. I mean, like it's weird, but it's standard like idol, like you know.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing,
Yeah.
though.
Okay.
She's lying.
Yeah, but how would he know? He's never met her. Right? And like he's
Right.
a super fan. I mean, at least he's good enough to like, do it the proper way, which is like, oh, okay. So like officially I would have to pay this much to get, to meet this person or whatever. Or to get an autograph or whatever. Instead of being like a weirdo super fan.
Yes,
So
at
like
least Kazumi is not creepy about his fandom for Mitan.
yeah.
I
mean
we'll get to that in a bit.
like he's like a super fan, but he's not like a weirdo, so that's good.
Sento goes to pay his respects to Aoba and Kiba when Stark shows up to collect his bottles. Not just the ones he lent him. He wants all the bottles. He's ready to open the box. They fight for a bit, and Rabbit Tank Sparkling isn't enough to take him on. I find this a little shocking, because I would have assumed at this point that Rabbit Tank would have been enough. But no, he has to resort to trying to use Black Hazard. But then Grace comes in and saves him when he starts to go berserk. Anything about the fight? Or
Stark does
taunting?
Stark, I want you to achieve the level I've dreamed of. So that's an interesting point. Like, was part of Stark's goal is to open Pandora's box. The other is to, my guess, make us kind of like a killing machine. He does mention, oh, you have friends and that's weighing you down. So my guess is, given what Stark did in Gentoku's training, quote unquote, to become a Kamen Rider, maybe he wants Sento to become just like that, just like empty shell who will only fight.
Oh, that'd be good.
So Sento would have to prove that no, having friends actually makes me stronger and I have something to actually fight for. That's the right thing to do.
Yeah, I agree. I think that is kind of what they're setting up is like Gentoku's the guy who gave up everything, and like Santo's gonna be the guy who holds on to his humanity and still wins, which is a very Kamen Rider thing to do. But hey, you know what? If it works, right? Story wise. As for like Stark, I think like it makes sense. Like here's the weird thing: it's kind of bullshit that like the Stark suit shouldn't be able to keep up, but you have to remember like Stark's a weirdo Martian dude, most likely. So like he should like he really doesn't even need the suit. Like, didn't he like super jump at one point in like human form or something? I
Yes,
remember.
and he also like twisted a tablet into a back scratcher. I
Yeah.
have no idea what
So
his
like
hazard level is. It's probably pretty high. So it doesn't even mention
exactly.
that with the trans team system he can't change it.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a little annoying that like we really can't gauge his strength. So it's like, oh, how strong is he? He's basically as strong as the plot calls for. But I think like at this point, or like since he turned into the bad guy, I think we're just leading up to him being like the final boss. So like we had to kind of think of his strength on that level, right?
Well,
Like imagine Kronos. Basically, he's Kronos. I mean, without time stop, or at least I don't think he has time stop. Yeah, go ahead, right?
I give him one more Sento powering up before I start to like just disbelieve how strong he actually is without him getting a power up. So if he does become the final boss, I hope he gets like some kind of new form for it. He probably will anyways, though. Toys.
Yeah, I've seen scans of the final form. I won't spoil it, but personally, I don't really like it.
I mean, I felt similar about Mighty Maximum X before I actually saw it in show.
I mean, technically, Mighty Maximum X isn't the final form, but who cares? Um, yeah. I mean, it's weird because the suits are so good. It's just like they just can't help themselves, so they have to like keep jamming more stuff in. And that's sort of the problem with the show is like it's great. It's just there's so many goddamn bottles that like we have to slow down for the suits or the bottles, and it's that's what's hurting the show. Like I wish they were like as weird as Forza was. Like I like Forza's system where it's like, okay, here's the belt, and like all the other shit is just like upgrades that go on a suit, unless you have like a form change.
Yeah, occasionally one would be a new form, and it would mostly just be a recolor.
Right. Like at least you could fit that in where it's like, okay, we got a new form. It just gets stronger, so we'll just use the new one. We don't have to even worry about the old one. Whereas this is like, okay, the old ones are still kind of useful, like not right now, but like if you really wanted to, like Sento's supposed to be like super super smart, right? But he fights like just like any other boring writer dude. So like here's the thing. Like when Banjo fights like that, it makes sense because he's just a fighter. You know, he was like a boxer. So like it makes sense he just fights. But like Santos thing should be like he should like figure out ways to beat the level difference. Like in X8, at least they fucking did that where it's like, oh right, like you know, before they all got their level 50s where they're like, shit, we're super outranked in levels now. So we're just gonna be smart and fight our way and like trick the stronger guys and get a power up from that. You know, like Sento hasn't even done that.
He was kind of doing that early on when they were still like doing the collectathon thing, but once Rabbit Tank Sparkling was introduced, it's like, well, why don't I just use my strongest?
I mean that makes sense, but the thing is like his strongest form isn't strong enough now. So like this is the time to experiment because like even when he goes like hazard trigger and he puts in like two new things, it's like who cares? They don't do anything. You know, like I mean it made sense today because he's like, okay, I these are like literally the two best matches I have left, so I'm just gonna stick them in. You know, but like okay, what? And then we have Hawk Gatlin, so it's like anything else, and then Hawk Gatlin's the one that flies. Like all right, like we have two forms essentially. It's kind of boring. I mean, especially because it does a disservice to his character because it's like, you know, they work so hard to get these fucking things, and he's all like, you know, I did this for justice. Like fucking use them for justice. Like don't like discard them.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I feel like I had an original point, but I forgot what it was. Oh, I was actually going to say something a little unrelated to a prior topic about the appearance of the suits, which is I really like the simplicity in the base rabbit tank form. Uh, it's very smooth, it's got two colors, and that's all it's doing. Uh, and that's all it really needs to be.
Yeah, I mean, hell, the weirdest part is like they put two abilities, but they don't use the abilities. They should have just kept with the like the older forms where it's like, oh, it's just element based. I mean, it would have been weird, but at least it would have been simple. But
Yeah.
go ahead, Henshin or Rai.
Yeah, the first thing of Build I saw way back was the suit, and I pretty much loved the base suit from the moment I saw it, so it's still my favorite, with Hawk Gatling a close second.
Yeah, the thing about the Rabbit Tank suit is that it's supposed to have like this speed theme to it with like a heavy hitting side. It just doesn't really see much play, unfortunately.
No. Although, given that the strongest form doesn't work and the form stronger than that makes you go crazy, Sento should probably try new. He hasn't invented something in a while. I want him to make something new because he likes doing that, and he's all pretty much got the weight of the world on his shoulders. So it would be a dual thing of making a new power up and him actually getting to remembering that he enjoys something for once.
Well, we are at the midpoint of the series, so it's time for an upgrade. Uh,
Yes.
I'm just
I am
wondering when we're
anxiously
going to get
awaiting
it.
that.
Because I saw
Hopefully next week.
maybe. Uh, I've seen scans of like what the next form is going to be and so I'm just curious as to how he makes it or gets it.
Or soon. Yes, we shall have to see.
Alright, back to the episode. So, after Kazumi saves Sento, he has to fight with him. And I really like this moment, because Kazumi and Sento were never truly enemies. They were just on opposite sides. The only time they had any personal conflict was when Sento accidentally killed Aoba, and they settled that in the championship battle. Kazumi has clearly come to terms with it. And now he's like, well, now my side is gone. It is a very well done, like, enemy becomes a good guy situation. It does not feel forced at all, which I really love.
Yeah, it was a pretty good, simple scene that makes sense for the characters. And thank God we don't have any drama over will he join their side or won't he. It's pretty much the only logical option at this point. Characters.
Yeah, I agree. It's nice because like you guys have pretty much said, like they weren't really enemies to begin with. And it's good because like eventually this was gonna happen anyway because like there's no way either of these sides can win without teaming up. So like at least they skipped that BS. And like made it into a story point, I guess. We'll see how long this lasts. As for Quintavis Lockhart says, they like Rabbit Tank's two new suits. I think that's maybe Hazard Trigger.
No. I think Quintavis is talking about the next upgrade that I mentioned. I saw scans of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's a thing. So Kazumi moves into Cafe Nasita and wants to know where he sleeps. And that is an excellent question, because we've only ever seen one bed in that building, and they seem to rotate around who sleeps in it. Also, Kazumi has a Meton pillow. In, like, really good condition, too. Like, that thing gets laundered every day, I bet.
Yeah, that was pretty hilarious. I'm hoping that Cafe Nacida has a flare, otherwise things will get uncomfortable. Like, let me count. Cento. Like 5 cramped.
You cut out a bit there. You should repeat that.
Okay, sorry. On pillow thing was pretty darn funny. All 5 people sleeping in the cafe, so I hope that they had an air mattress somewhere.
Yeah, that's pretty hilarious. I mean, to be fair, they're like government workers, I guess, at this point. Like, I'm sure if they really needed a room, like, somebody would find them a room if they wanted to. As for another thing, Contiva's Lockhart says she likes, I mean, Hawk Gatling, Sniper Wolf. Oh, no, this is the smartphone wolf thing.
Smartphone wolf.
Yeah, yeah. Kaizo Reisha. So that's pirate train. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a pretty cool one too. I mean, the suits look so nice. They get no play in this show though, which is really sad.
Last night after the Sendai podcast, I was just looking at some of the suits with King, and some of them just look really good. Kaizaku Reisha in particular. Like when you actually just stop and look at them.
Yeah. As for the Kazumi thing, yeah, it's nice that he's a fan, but he's not one of those like creepy obsessive fans, which like Toei tends to make all fans out to be every once in a while. Like it's good we're getting rid of that shit. Boundaries. That's nice. Also, I was like, okay, holy shit. Oh my god, Misora kind of faints. I'm like, who's taking care of her? Because like 3 riders show up. No, all 4 of the guys show up, right?
What?
Like, Sawa's not even in this fucking episode. I'm like, who's taking care of? Well, I guess nobody. That's why she kind of like shows up later. Because Misora faints, and I'm like, okay, like they just got a call. Like I'm like, oh, okay, they're gonna like at least put Red, and we'll get a little bit of like character development from him by saying like, oh, he's gonna take care of Misora while like the 3 riders go and fight. But like he shows up too. I'm like, so you just abandoned a person who just like collapsed?
Yeah, that was weird. At least one person should have been there. But I guess it wouldn't have ruined the dramatic reveal. More on that later.
I mean, like, if you at least had Sawa in this episode, she would have had something to do, but, like, she's not even in this episode, so what the hell was up with that?
I'm still wondering what she's doing in this series.
That is a very good question.
There was a silence there, so I thought for a moment that neither of you had anything to say.
That is a very good question. She may be the spy. I would not be surprised. We will find out.
God, like if we're like, oh yeah, Namba didn't actually abandon me. He just gave me an even more super secret mission. Like fuck that. I am so not on board if that's what we're going with.
Honestly, she had the potential to be a good character, but it seems like they just don't have room to fit her in, so they forget about her until they have something for her to say.
I just left her as a reporter. This is the Iris West problem of Flash. Is like, okay, you don't have to keep inventing shit or like having to come up with reasons why they exist in the show if you just kept them having their old job. Because it would, yeah.
I was gonna say, honestly, I would love it if Sawa was still just like news reporting Build's activities and fights.
Right? Like that'd be great. Or if she was like following up like who's the spy, or like if she's showing from like the citizen's point of view or something, it would have been great. Or like I guess yeah, that's Ultraman Nexus, I think, where they have like they have the defense force and then they have basically like Men in Black, except not really. basically they just go around and erase people's memories because they have like telepaths working for them. Um, so it's like if something happens, they just like save the day, and then they send these guys to like erase the victims' memories and stuff. And like if you had something like that going on, like Sawa would make so much more sense because then she would literally be like Reiko from like Ryuki trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. But she has, yeah, you're right. She has nothing to do in this show, which sucks because it's a fucking war going on. You think a journalist would find some work, right?
Right.
Or a spy.
Like, what if she was the reporter in front of the camera during the championship bout instead of just some person?
Yes. Sawa report, but then if Sawa was reporting it, she wouldn't have been able to go and get Ryuga
Well,
to tell
I
him
mean,
to
she could have
save
been
his-
ringside.
Imagine this. Like, she sees what's happening, and then she calls out to Banjo through the news report, like, hey, get over here
Nice.
quick, we need you.
Or
Sento
she could
needs
just-
Yeah,
you.
that would have been good.
Or she could have just been either ringside, or she could have just called them on their phone. You know, like Banjo has a phone, even though, you know, like, where are they getting the money for any of this shit at this point?
Like, the cafe has never had a customer.
Government funding.
They didn't always work for the government, though.
I know that.
Oh, you know what the best part is? Secret headcanon? Oh, well, technically, like, Sawa started hanging out there more after Stark left. So it's like, where's Sawa? Oh, she's the one actually pulling jobs and getting the money, so everybody doesn't start. Secretly the most important character.
Secretly the true hero, and we're shitting on her.
Oh my god.
It reminds me of like how in Kamen Rider Kabuto never actually has a job like any other rider.
Yeah, I mean, he's super rich. But yeah.
At like the beginning of the series, he makes a joke to his little sister about like, oh, I was thinking about investing in stocks. But then like he never works, so maybe he actually is and is making money off of it.
I mean, he's got the fucking like almost psychopathic ego for it. So maybe he is making a killing.
Yeah.
Therefore, he can go to Japan to get tofu because, you know, all those stocks came in. Or whatever.
Vashi's been watching Kabuto and he can't stand his god complex.
Oh, I know. It's so annoying. He's so fucking punchable. Luckily, like, a lot of characters later on can't stand his shit and, like, fucking tell it to his face or, like, beat his ass.
Not even just later on. Like, early on, people are like, what the fuck are you doing?
I know. I love how Kagami's, I guess she is his boss. I don't know. Whatever. Like, his coworker who, like, interviews, like, Kabuto is like, and then he's being like a real smartass. Is like, do you ask that question? Do you look to the sun and ask that? And I'm like, she's like 2 seconds away from pulling out her gun and shooting you at this point. I'm like, that would have been one hell of a different show.
Oh. Alright, back to Build.
Yeah, Kabuto is really stupid. And that's the thing, like, you can't take Kabuto seriously. The only way to get through Tendo's bullshit is, like, pick any of the other writers as your main and go from there and don't take the show seriously. Like, it's got cool elements, but, like, they all kind of, like, everything is thrown into that show. So, like, it kind of all falls apart and somehow works.
Okay, I
like-
will take that advice.
Yeah, like, it makes
Watch
way...
Kabuto.
It becomes more fun-ish if you take it a little less seriously, because like it'd be like really serious and all this like over the top shit happens later on, and it's like, okay, you know what, fuck it, I don't even care, because like everybody is over the top in that show, like at one point or another. Like Kabuto has a stupid god complex, but like Drake is like super fucking makeup artist, and I love that guy. He's the best. But And then like oh shit, like the cooking contests are
Yeah,
so dumb,
the
and like
the fucking
Kagami like never
Iron
gets anything.
Chef episode.
Oh my god, that's so dumb, but it's great. If you have not seen that episode, for the love of God, people watch that. Like, if you do not watch anything of Kabuto, watch that episode. It's so
It's
ridiculous and over the
so over the
top.
top.
Is it more over the top than Yu-Gi-Oh?
It's
Oh,
like
yes.
Yu-Gi-Oh levels of absurd.
No, no, no. In Yu-Gi-Oh, nobody fucking says, "Here's a dishcloth. Prepare it for judging." Like, here's your ingredient. Go cook this, and it's a fucking dishcloth.
But like Gabuto's solution at the end of the episode is like a fucking Yu-Gi-Oh like pullout.
I mean, to be fair, his solution kind of makes sense because they were kind of doing that weird Zen philosophy shit. Um, but goddamn, it's so dumb.
Okay.
Also, the villain
Oh,
is, we have to stop this guy. Why? He's got this evil possessed knife. I'm like, I'm sorry, the world's about to fucking end with monsters. Why is this guy?
Why are we getting
What
into this?
episode is this?
Why are we getting this D plot about black and white knives? What episode is it? I will look it up for you. Thankfully, Kagami is basically as much the main character as Kabuto is in that series.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably one of the coolest, like, well, not coolest, but he's got like a lot of personality. And like, once you get through like maybe 20% of the show, not even, like 15%, like when all the other writers start showing up, Kabuto gets a lot better. Because like he's got other people to bounce off of, and like like the less the whole damn episode has to focus on Tendo, the better. Because like he's not terrible, it's just his personality can kind of be like really annoying. And then the last arc is fucking stupid too, because like it seems like we finally built up and like he had all this character development. At the end it's like, oh no, did we forget what the character statement for this guy was? Follow your own path. So he has to turn into a complete asshole and do everything by himself. And I was like, ah, man, is this like a problem of all like early Heiseis? Like the last 3 episodes turn into shit. And Kabuto is so annoying when it does that, because I'm like, you finally had all this character growth. What the hell happened? It's sad.
Okay, I got the episodes. So the weird Iron Chef stuff that we've been talking about. Kamen Rider Kabuto, episode 29 and episode 30.
Got it. And we should get back to Build.
Yeah. So, Sento is like feeling a little down because he's thinking about how Stark said that he's no different from Gentoku. So he goes to be alone, but then Mizora comes along and cheers him up, and they start saying love and peace, like from fucking Trigun.
That was so bad. like that is some of the worst like early writer mottos ever. Like, at least in the earlier shows it kind of made sense. I'll let you go, Henshin, otherwise I'm gonna get into a tangent.
You are also quoting like they're also quoting one of the themes, the songs from Kamen Rider Black. So I'm like, yeah, it's cheesy, but Misora's trying to cheer him up, so I guess being cheesy works that way.
Okay. Yeah. Like, if we were going with I'm going to fight for the children's future, like, like Black Sting from Superhero Tyson GP, or no, Kamen Rider Tyson GP, right? Yeah, whatever. That one, at least that would be a better slogan. And like, it's not a bad slogan, it's just the way they deliver it. It's so terrible. Like, I mean, I get it. They're doing the whole like, oh, like earlier Heisei writers all kind of. I mean, like lately, like early Heisei writers had a like saying kind of, and they would stick to it. And like post decade Heisei writers all have a saying, but they don't really stick to their damn saying. So I guess we're like mishmashing both of them. Where like Kuga's thing is like I don't want to see like anybody uh
He wants
like
to
I want to
protect
protect
everyone's smiles,
everybody's smile. Yeah, right. Like in Fies is like
dreams.
uh no, that's the theme. It's
Oh, right.
uh yeah, it's more that like oh shit. Uh it's basically like if somebody has to be damned for doing something, like it might as well just be me. Like I can't word it perfectly, but it's like, what,
If
like
fighting is a sin, something or
y-
other. No, if fighting
yeah,
is a
yeah,
sin,
yeah.
I will bear that burden. I think it's that.
Yeah, yeah. If fighting is a sin, let me beat sin. But yeah, that one's great. And then like Blade is great because he says it to like a secondary character, and it's like really early on, where it's like I would rather be betrayed 1,000 times than betray anyone. I was like, oh, it's
Oh,
so
yeah,
good.
that's right. That was one of his best moments.
It's so cool, man. And I think like Sento's trying to do something like that, where it's like, I fight for love and peace, but I'm like, you don't have to say it, for one, and two, like, I think your earlier stuff of like, I built this belt to fight for justice was better than this one, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely.
Uh, Moving on. Gentoku and the Gear Bros launch an attack for Pandora's Box, and all the riders and Akaba go and get in the fray. Gentoku has a lovely reunion with his father, takes the box, and bails. And everyone chases him to Skywall, where they have their actual fight. Uh, Anything about the attack on the Prime Minister?
I
So,
would not have been surprised if Gentoku had killed the Prime Minister right then and there, so I'm a little surprised he did not. Because if he wants to destroy Toto and make it his own country, that's a.
well, like what he wants to do is he wants to reunite the country. Uh,
Okay.
so like he wants to beat Toto, but I'm not sure like how far he means when he says he wants to like destroy it.
Yeah, I mean, you do see like the struggle of him. Like he thinks about it for a sec, but he doesn't do it. I actually thought what was gonna happen like before that, uh, is like when he goes and it's like, oh, it shows them like find out that there's a spy, and he goes and he like goes to his dad and he's like, you have like a spy or something, right? Like, so he's like secretly he hasn't given up everything, and he was gonna be like, oh, I became a common rider and strong, and just so Toto can win. But like, it doesn't seem like that's the case. It seems like he's just given up on giving a shit about Toto, and he just wants to like pretty much unify the country by any means. But yeah, afterwards when that didn't happen about the spy thing, like I really did think he was gonna shoot him. But I think the problem is like it's modern Toei, and modern Toei would not show something like that, even though like in that scene it there was like a 50-50 chance, probably more than that his dad would have gotten shot. Like if this was early Heisei, probably would have happened.
If this was
Like
Ryuki,
yeah, I was thinking Fives, but I'm like, yeah, Ryuki definitely.
uh, or hell, possibly even like Kiva.
uh oh, right, because we think like the boss got offed for like an episode. Yeah, you're right. Like Kiva has a lot of weird like people like, okay, one, people have a weird problem not liking that show. I'm like, whatever. I guess you just have to be more of a character person. And secondly, like Kiva has a lot more, fucking dead people and like crazy insane twists that like you don't see anymore. Um yeah, you're right. Like Man, Kiva is pretty good when I think back to it. I mean, then again, we have like an actor from Kiva, so there's that.
Yeah. And that actor is the biggest reason why I liked Kiva. Um,
He's my favorite too. Um, okay. Quintavis says, I feel bad for Cross C for having to run all the way to Sky Road.
oh god,
That was
it is the
another funny
best.
moment.
It is the best.
I'm
My-
like, yeah,
my
Ryuga
own-
would totally do that
Yeah, you would.
in
Like
heavy
you,
armor.
right, exactly. Like either D Henshin find a ride or something. My other thing is like he got there too quick. I was like hoping like they would do the fight, and they're like getting their ass kicked, and like it's almost to the end, and you see like him just come running in.
Please.
I like that he got there only like a minute after they did. Like, how fast was he running?
Pretty darn fast.
Secretly, Cross C has the speed form. Oh my god, that would have been great.
Anything about the fight itself, other than, like, I have to say, Gentoku really exemplifies this, like, empty shell of a character. Someone who is just dead inside. And it made me think.
Oh, totally.
It made me compare him to a Dangerous Zombie. A character that is like. His theme is that, like, he's dead. He can't die because he's already dead. But Dan is so erratic and ecstatic that, like, he's just wild. And, like, because he's so confident he can't die, he doesn't really think about how he fights. Whereas Gentoku, every move counts. He doesn't waste a breath.
Yeah. Gentoku doesn't with everything, so he's like, I'm just getting what I want. I don't care what gets in my way, I'll just crush it.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I really remember is like that's a really great rider kick, and I also like how it's like no, it's not a single thing. It's like every time he kicks, a jaw hits you from the side, because he lands like 3 or 4 different kicks on build, and I was like, oh, that's cool. The only other thing I was thinking, I was like earlier in the episode when it does like the flashbacks and you see like him henshin for the first time. I thought that was cool, and also that they made a helmet which is just pure like black and shiny, and then they made a second helmet which looks like the normal one. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool just for that one shot.
And then, as the fight is dying down, Mizora, in some sort of trance or hypnotic state, just walks on up to the group. Episode end.
That was a very good tangent, although, like, that was a good way to end it, although I was kind of semi-spoiled before I saw the episode. Even still, I'm excited to see how this is going to go. I'm also worried for Misora, so maybe we'll finally get some information about Pandora's box, what it is, what's inside, and possessed by Pandora's box. Is Misora being possessed by Pandora's box? Are they different elements of the same thing?
What purpose will the voice actress that was recently hired for the show serve?
Yes, precisely. Who is this mysterious voice actress who is possessing Misora, and what does she want?
Huh, that's an interesting point. Yeah, what I was actually thinking is like Build is doing a lot of stuff that previous writer shows kind of like either did well, so it's bringing it back, or failed at. So like it did the whole war shit much better than Gaim. Um, but what I was also thinking is like, oh, okay, so this is like Wizard if like everybody showed up and Toei stopped fucking with them. Because this is literally Wizard's goddamn plot, or close enough. Um, where it's like, oh right, the guy who gave you the belt is an evil asshole. Like I've never seen that before. Yeah, it's like White Wizard, straight up from Wizard. Um, and then like Misora is like pretty much Koyomi. Um, pretty much. Like she does a lot. She does a lot more with building the full bottles than Koyomi did, but like, Koyomi also kind of had a hand in it and stuff. I mean, it depends on what the fuck Stark's deal is, because if it's like something like, oh, I'm gonna resurrect Misora or something, then it's literally fucking Wizard and Gaim's plot stuck together. With like an earlier Heisei spin, which is cool. I mean, hey, at least some show pulled it off.
Uh, uh, with that, I think we can move on to final thoughts. This was a pretty good episode. Uh, I think I pretty much said everything though that I have to say about it.
This was a pretty good episode. Good action, good plot development. What bothers me about this episode is not related to the episode at all, but the opening theme. Why is Soichi still in that opening theme, even though we've known he's an asshole and has betrayed everyone for a long time now? I don't know why they haven't changed the opening more than they usually do. It's a little weird.
Eh. Harkens back to like happier days.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, maybe. Usually, whenever we change an opening, it's to get more viewers. I mean, that's generally the case, but like X8 really didn't need it, but it did it a lot. But then again, X8 was, like secret messages in plain sight, like a ton of those. As for why Stark is there, I don't know, man. Maybe like he becomes a good guy after this arc, which is gonna be so fucking weird. Um, Maybe they're really lazy, which doesn't make any sense because it's like it takes like 2 seconds, like take out Stark and put in fucking Grease. It like why? Otherwise, episode wise, yeah, pretty solid. It's like we're on a roll, but it's like a weird roll because it's nothing you expect happens. You think, oh, like this plot will come to an end. It's like no, like this whole other fucking subplot like comes to the forefront. Like, we thought, oh shit, we have to fight Hokuto. Well, Hokuto's fucking gone now. Sato's a problem. Oh, well, we have to stop like Rogue. Well, Rogue's a problem, but Stark's back. It's like, oh, all right. Well, the Pandora's box is gonna be open. It's like, oh, really? But no, Mizora's like doing her own thing. It's like, holy shit, show. I mean, like, it's good that you have plots, but like, damn, like it's so good. I hope it doesn't have the problem where it's like, oh, it's so good in the middle and then it, like burns out at the end because like I'm so getting sick of that shit. Uh, like I hope um this author has like this writer has their shit together. I mean like so far it seems they do. And like the first arc you can just chalk up to like we had to get these damn bottles out of the way, so we had to like structure the show very boring and like predictably for the most part. Yeah, if it continues at this level it'll be great. Like it's so good to have two good writer shows back to back. It's been a really long time since we've had that. But yeah, that's my only hope.
And with that, I think we're set for tonight. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll be back next Tuesday for more Super Sentai, and next Wednesday for more Kamen Rider Build. See you then.
I
Zero, do you want to sign off?
Sorry, my like computer wasn't unmuting it for some reason. Yeah, thanks for joining us, everyone, and we will see you next time.